Billionaire's incredible secret test of new Maid exposed. What he discovered will transform your. Maria clenched the dishcloth in her hand, the fabric practically crumpling under the pressure of her grip. She stood in the lavish kitchen of Robert Langston's mansion, her heart racing amid the opulence surrounding her. Her mind ignited with memories of her past long days in lecture halls, equations scribbled on the back of napkins, dreams of engineering that felt impossibly distant. The scent of freshly baked pastries wafted through the air, striking an oddly familiar chord, yet she felt worlds away from the person she once aspired to be. Her hands trembled slightly as she recalled the stakes that came with this job, not just the paycheck, but the hope of offering her children a better future. Each hour spent dusting or scrubbing felt more suffocating, a constant reminder of her sacrifices. Yet her heart swelled with determination, a fire to rise against the odds. But could she really defy the path laid out for her? What if she failed? What did that mean for her kids? As she organized the chaos of the upcoming charity gala, one of Robert's grand plans to fund his foundation, frustration crept in like a shadow. Last-minute changes sent her mind into spiral mode. She was already running on low energy, trying to keep up with schedules and errands, but the mounting pressure felt like a tidal wave. Would her efforts even be noticed? Or was she just another nameless face in a mansion filled with grandeur? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Time yanked her back to reality, as glancing at the clock sent her pulse racing anew. Anxiety burrowed deeper, reminding her of memories better left undisturbed. Could she really pull this together? The weight of it all pressed relentlessly. Not just Robert's expectations, but the invisible chains of her past, the choices that had led her here, serving when she had once dreamed of leading. As the hours ticked by, an unsettling thought surfaced. What if Robert was simply testing her? It sent shivers down her spine. She envisioned a system where her failure equated to his power. That uncertainty hung heavy in the air, amplifying her sense of inadequacy. Could this path, twisted and fraught with doubt, become the very thing that would steal her resolve? Her mind faltered as she looked down at the disarray before her. Each misplaced chair or tangled cable felt like an affront. What if she was making a fool of herself in front of him? Just as her breathing quickened, fueled by fleeting determination, a voice interrupted her tempest of thoughts. It was Robert, watching her intently from the doorway, a knowing glint in his eye. Did he see more than a maid? Or was she merely a pawn in his elaborate game? The tension wound tighter, each passing moment suffocating her breath as uncertainty reigned in her heart. She would have to confront this storm, the whirlwind of responsibility and ambition colliding with loyalty to the legacy she had only known through stories. Yet, as they stood at the precipice of these unwritten futures, the walls felt as if they were closing in. Were they to be allies in overcoming the challenges ahead, or would this insidious pressure reveal something darker, a betrayal rooted deeper than either could foresee? Maria's heart raced, knowing the answers lay tangled in the uncertain path before them. The silence in the kitchen stretched, thick and charged, as Robert's gaze bore through Maria. She felt exposed, as though every insecurity was laid bare for him to scrutinize. This was her moment, a critical juncture where she could either buckle under the weight of expectation or rise to meet it. What is your plan for the gala? Robert finally broke the tension, his voice calm, yet probing, testing the depths of her competence. The question sent a jolt through her. Did he truly want to know? Or was this another test wrapped in a casual inquiry? I've coordinated the seating arrangements and am finalizing the catering details, she stammered, the confidence in her voice wavering. Despite the anxiety gripping her, an underlying force surged within. She was more than a maid. She was a strategist, capable of orchestrating complex setups. But then doubt dripped in again. Was her work truly up to the standards of a billionaire-esque gala? Robert nodded slowly, his expression inscrutable. And what about the decor? The atmosphere needs to reflect the mission of the foundation, not just look pretty. Each word held weight, laced with expectation. As he spoke, a flicker of clarity sparked in her mind, igniting a sense of purpose. Design wasn't just decoration. It was about resonance, creating a feeling that transcended the room. This realization was cathartic. "I can draw from the Foundation's mission," Maria replied, growing bolder. "Integrating elements that showcase community improvement would make it more impactful. I was thinking of incorporating local artists' work to symbolize empowerment." This was not merely a response. It was a realization. She was reclaiming her voice. Robert's brow furrowed slightly, a mix of skepticism and intrigue in his gaze. "Artist work like what?" The exchange felt like an unspoken dance, his push, her pull. "We could highlight work that tells stories of resilience and innovation, pieces reflecting struggles and triumphs, showcasing the very heart of what the Foundation stands for." With each word, the weight on her shoulders lightened. He studied her, and she could almost see the gears turning in his mind. Was he considering her suggestion seriously? As the silence ensued, anticipation made her cheeks flush. With this momentum, she felt unearthed potential, her engineering background, analytical skills, and creative instincts interwoven, forming a tapestry of capability once buried under the weight of mundane tasks. But shadows loomed. She had opened a door, yet within it lay her fears. Could this acknowledgement lead to greater expectations? What if she failed to deliver? However, the fear of remaining stagnant was more daunting than the possibility of failure. With determination refocusing her thoughts, she stepped forward. "If this gala is a reflection of who we are, then the planning must be equally bold. Let us move away from traditional motifs and create something authentic." For the first time, she saw a flicker of respect in Robert's expression, a connection formed through this unexpected professional dialogue. Could this be a pivotal moment? Were they on the brink of an alliance that could align their ambitions? Yet, another thought pierced through the haze. What would he demand after this? As empowering as opening up felt, it also came with risks she hadn't anticipated. The stakes could rise higher than she had foreseen, transforming her role from a mere caretaker to a crucial player. Suddenly, the kitchen door swung open, bringing the cacophony of the outside world crashing into their bubble. The staff bustled, preparing for the gala, unaware of the new dynamics unfolding. But Maria's gaze remained locked on Robert, her mind racing ahead. In this moment of transformation, she had to make a decision. Would she embrace this opportunity to evolve, potentially reshaping her future? And if so, what lengths would she go to assert her newfound identity, even in the face of uncertainty? As Robert shifted his stance, the air thick with unspoken agreements, the question loomed: how far would she be willing to go to prove herself? And would the very path she sought lead to liberation or further entrapment? The answers lay just out of reach, tantalizingly close yet frighteningly unknown. The hum of the kitchen faded as Maria stood in the aftermath of her encounter with Robert, her heart racing with a mixture of exhilaration and dread. The air around her felt charged, alive with possibilities she had silently craved but never dared to articulate. Each passing moment peeled away another layer of hesitation, revealing a core that pulsed with determination. As the staff moved with mechanical precision, their chatter blending into the background, Maria grappled with the reality that she was at a crossroads. She had tasted a form of respect she feared she might lose the moment she stepped away from this moment of clarity. The words Robert had spoken echoed in her mind, punctuated by the gravity of their implications. She had taken a chance, and now, the stakes had escalated. To solidify this new vision, she needed to act. Not a mere response, but a strategy. Her plan for the gala had to morph from a simple checklist into a vivid concept. What she envisioned would require more than just an internal shift. It demanded outward execution that could rally support from her colleagues, and even Robert, if requisite. Moving with renewed purpose, Maria began mapping out the evening's layout in her mind. The tables, not just set, but adorned with meaningful centerpieces that told the story of perseverance and innovation through art. She envisioned colorful canvases that captured the struggles faced by local artists, their lives reflected in the techniques they employed. But how could she bridge the gap between this invigorating idea and practical realities? Taking a deep breath, Maria decided to approach Christina, one of the other staffers who had a flair for design. They had exchanged friendly words before, sparking a camaraderie she hoped to cultivate into collaboration. Walking toward Christina, Maria hesitated briefly, apprehension creeping back, but the drive within her quelled any lingering doubt. "Hey, Christina," she called out, her voice steady despite the nervous tap of her fingers against her thigh. "Can we talk about the decor for the gala?" Christina turned, brightening at the request. "Of course. I think we should aim for an elegant setup, but what do you have in mind?" Maria lit up, and as they spoke, ideas began flowing freely. She articulated her vision, carefully intertwining the concept of resilience through art with their logistical needs. Christina's eyes sparkled, excitement palpable. Together, they fell into a rhythm, bouncing suggestions back and forth, igniting ideas that felt both refreshing and expansive. Yet, deep inside, Maria's anxiety remained, a background note to their symphony of creativity. What if it all spiraled beyond her control? Could these plans truly win Robert's approval? Could anyone but him see the latent potential in such a radical shift? As their brainstorming continued, dark clouds of doubt still loomed in the recesses of her mind. What if she overstepped? What if the very foundation that had begun to take shape would crumble under the pressure of her ambition? Regardless, she pushed these thoughts aside. Engaging with Christina felt right. Each moment spent unraveling the details reconnected her to the excitement of possibility, yet left her acutely aware of ominous repercussions still lurking. The seconds ticked away as they structured the plans, her pulse quickening with the weight of what was ahead. The path was illuminated with ambition, yet shadowed by uncertainty. The gala could be a triumph, but failure haunted the edges of her enthusiasm. Embracing her evolution would mean confronting these fears head-on. "Let us refine our ideas and present them to Robert together," Maria finally suggested, her voice tinged with the urgency of their timeline. With Christina on board, they shifted into high gear, plotting their next steps. But Maria's earlier reflections on Robert's expectations still circled incessantly, growing sharper. Would this ambitious plan draw his scrutiny or earn his endorsement? As the kitchen buzzed around them, Maria felt the pressure mounting. The time was drawing closer to face Robert again, and with it, the ghosts of her insecurities. Would she wield the newfound power of her voice, or would the consequences of her boldness lead her down an unfamiliar path altogether? Time slipped dangerously, and the tension of uncharted territories loomed larger. Did she have the fortitude to stand by her vision against whatever challenges Robert might pose? This was just the beginning, and the next confrontation awaited. The lighting in the kitchen felt more intense as Maria and Christina worked through the details of their gala vision. Ideas flowed easily between them, yet the tension in Maria's chest tightened with every passing moment. She had initiated this collaboration, but now that it was real, the weight of the responsibility hung heavily on her shoulders. Could she ensure that this ambitious concept could be executed flawlessly? Or would her inexperience lead them both into chaos? "We need to ensure that each element tells a story," Maria said, her voice bold now, yet searching for validation. "It's not just about decor. It represents collective strength and artistry. People must feel it." Christina nodded, enthusiasm radiating from her. "Absolutely. But we also need to think about logistics. Can we get the materials we need without breaking the budget?" The question ignited a flicker of panic inside Maria. The stakes felt even higher now. She could envision the powerful impact of their ideas, flashing in her mind like vibrant colors. But the reality of budget, time constraints, and Robert's expectations loomed like a storm cloud ready to pour. "Let us break it down," Maria suggested, forcing herself to breathe through the rising unease. "We can find cost-effective options for the centerpieces. Perhaps we can collaborate with local suppliers as well." Christina's brows furrowed in thought. "That's a great idea, but we'll need to make a compelling pitch to get everyone on board." The prospect of pitching their plans sent a jolt through Maria. This wasn't merely a conversation between two colleagues. It would be a call to impress not just Robert, but the entire team. Could she shift their perception by presenting this new vision boldly? Would they see a flicker of possibility in her ambitious concept? As the pieces of their plan began to align, Maria felt a deep stirring within her. She wasn't just taking part. She was leading this initiative, daring to stake her claim in the culinary world that had, until now, felt daunting and inaccessible. Each component they drafted was more than just a physical aspect of the night. It was a reflection of her growth, her courage, and a direct confrontation with her insecurities. The deliberation took on a rhythm, laced with laughter and excitement. But beneath it lay a tension that couldn't be ignored. They were nearing the moment when their vision would meet scrutiny. The murmurings of what if and can we really? Layered on top of anticipation. Let us meet with Robert tomorrow, Maria proposed suddenly, a mix of eagerness and trepidation flooding her voice. We'll present the concept, the budget, all of it. I want us to be ready for whatever he throws our way. Christina's eyes sparkled with agreement, but the small wrinkle of concern on her brow belied the enthusiasm. What if he doesn't respond positively? What if he shoots us down? Maria squared her shoulders. The thought of failure had visited her more than once, but this time, it was different. She felt tightly wound, ready to either spring into action or unravel. I can't afford to back down. Not anymore. That realization simmered beneath the surface. No matter how intense her fear felt, it was a signal that she had stepped into a new realm of self-worth and ambition. The weight of the experience pressed down on her, but it also inspired clarity. As they wrapped up their meeting, Carla surveyed the work they had accomplished, impressed by the vision they had jointly built. It was shaping into something beautiful, yet fraught with the uncertainty of impending judgment. The next day felt like a precipice, and as Maria left the kitchen that evening, she glanced back with both pride and apprehension. The air shimmered with potential success, but she also felt the encroaching shadows of doubt creeping in. Would Robert recognize the passion and skill she brought to the table? Maria's heart drummed a relentless beat in her chest. Tomorrow would be pivotal. The confrontation awaited, and her dreams stood at the edge of the abyss. Would she falter or push through the fear that held her captive? As she stepped out into the cool evening, the world felt charged with possibilities, yet veiled with uncertainty. A time for truth was rapidly approaching, and Maria knew there would be no turning back. Would she rise to meet the challenge, or would she fade into the background once more, the potential of her voice forever muted? The sun rose the next morning with a determined glow, and the kitchen buzzed with an intensity that mirrored Maria's fraught anticipation. Her stomach twisted in knots, a telling sign of the moment's significance. Today was not just another workday. It was her opportunity to transform her vision into a reality and showcase what she was truly capable of. As she prepared for the meeting, she reviewed their plans meticulously. Each detail, from the thematic elements to the budget allocations, had become a testament to her resolve. But, as she flipped through her notes, a silent battle raged within. Did she truly believe in herself? Deep down, doubt clawed at her. What if her inexperience was her undoing? Christina entered the kitchen, her enthusiasm like caffeine in the air. Ready for today? She asked, her tone upbeat, yet susceptible to Maria's undercurrent of anxiety. More or less. I've made a few adjustments to the budget sheets, just in case, Maria replied, her voice steady despite the tempest of thoughts swirling in her mind. With each passing minute leading up to their appointment with Robert, Maria focused on strategy, how to frame their ideas to accentuate the beauty and artistry rather than the limitations. She envisioned the boardroom, the sleek lines of the table, the weighty silence before they laid out their plans. It fueled her pressure but also her purpose. Yet, in the hallowed confines of the meeting room, the air quickly thickened with tension. Robert sat at the head of the table, his expression unreadable. The flicker of doubt resurfaced, reminding her of how vulnerable she felt exposed before authority. What if he questioned her competence? What if he dismissed them outright? Bracing herself, Maria began, "Thank you for meeting with us today. We believe that our vision for this gala not only aligns with our goals, but could elevate the brand in a meaningful way." She glanced sideways at Christina, who nodded encouragingly. As she continued, Maria felt the flicker of her passion ignite. Discussing the centerpiece designs, the accents that would tell a story of resilience and creativity, she found herself connecting with the very heart of the proposal. The words flowed, vibrant and engaging, drawing Christina in as they both collaborated fluidly in the presentation. When it came time to discuss the budget, Maria deliberately highlighted how their collaborative efforts could save costs while maintaining quality. She presented a comparison of alternative suppliers, showcasing their attention to both craftsmanship and financial prudence. Yet, in the midst of her presentation, Robert interjected. "This all sounds promising, Maria. But where is the guarantee that this vision will deliver the return on investment we're expecting?" His eyes narrowed slightly, the question hanging like a blade. Maria froze. Instinctively, she felt the urge to retreat. Yet, something deep within her stirred. This was her moment to confront the doubt not only Robert's skepticism, but her own insecurities. "Simplicity isn't the answer here," she replied, steadying her voice. "It's about creating an emotional resonance with our audience. Their experiences should linger long after they leave our event. I can assure you, this approach has been successful in similar past endeavors." Tension permeated the room. She sensed Christina's silence beside her, holding onto the edge of hope. Maria's heart raced, yet she leaned into the discomfort and maintained eye contact with Robert, who scrutinized her with a measuring gaze. The silence that followed felt eternal. It was a greater test than presenting concepts. It was about ownership of her voice. The risk she had taken asserting her belief amidst scrutiny left her heart pounding in her chest. Would Robert recognize her conviction, or would she face the consequences of her boldness? Just as apprehension tensed the air, Robert broke into a slight smile. "You know, you make a compelling case. I'm willing to give this a shot, but I expect consistent updates." The relief was palpable. Yet, as Maria left the room, a new determination surged within her. She had navigated the pressure and emerged, showing herself what she was truly capable of. But as excitement coursed through her, a creeping thought emerged. The real battle was just beginning. She realized this moment was just the start of a longer journey toward establishing her place within the culinary world. The confrontation had been a revelation not of what she could lose, but of what she could build. As she stepped outside, the world felt charged again, this time saturated with not just questions of self-doubt, but a stirring curiosity about her potential for growth. What would be the next challenge that awaited her? And more importantly, how would she choose to confront it? The sharp crunch of gravel under her shoes reverberated in Maria's mind as she moved toward her car, each step a grounding reminder of the ground she had just covered. The meeting had been a test, but it also sparked a flame of ambition that refused to be extinguished. Yet as the initial thrill of winning Robert's tentative approval faded, the implications of that approval darkened the landscape of her thoughts. Confidence was a fickle friend, Maria realized. Just moments ago, she had felt on top of the world, yet now upon entering her car, the familiar shadows of doubt began creeping back. The questions erupted anew. Did she truly have the skills to see this project through? Was the rest of the team as convinced as she was? The stakes were rising, and for the first time, the weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders. Driving back to the kitchen, Maria replayed the meeting in her mind, dissecting each moment. Was her passion enough? Did she truly understand the intricacies of managing such a high-profile project? The drive felt endless, the horizon blurring under the weight of her thoughts. She knew she had to turn this energy into a force for her development, not a crippling chain of anxiety. Once at the kitchen, she gathered Christina and a few trusted colleagues for a debrief. "We need to develop a more robust strategy moving forward. This isn't just about executing an event. We're creating something that reflects the brand and us," Maria stated, her voice firm as she moved from question to action. Together, they sat at the wide wooden table, an anchor in the storm of ideas swirling in the room. They broke into groups, discussing their individual strengths, experiences, and concerns openly. In that collaborative atmosphere, Maria felt a shift, seeing how she could align her ambitions with her team's diverse skill sets. Each voice added a thread to the tapestry they were weaving, filling gaps in her knowledge and illuminating perspectives she had missed. As the hours passed, her confidence began to build. She realized that leading this project was not just about her vision. It involved harnessing the collective genius of her team. The more they collaborated, the clearer the path ahead seemed to glow. They would set benchmarks to measure progress, devise a timeline, and break into manageable tasks. She discovered that leadership was more than having all the answers. It was about facilitating a culture where everyone felt invested and heard. Later, as they wrapped up for the day, Maria felt an unfamiliar sensation, a sense of empowerment mixed with excitement. They had created a plan that included everyone's input, and she finally felt like she was stepping into the role she had always aspired to occupy. The nagging doubts were still there, simmering under the surface, but now she had tools, and above all, allies on her way home. The evening sun bathed the city in a golden hue, mirroring her burgeoning optimism. How could she continue to adapt and grow? What other hidden talents might surface if she embraced collaboration? What opportunities lay ahead now that she had faced her fear and stepped forward? As she stepped into her home, still buzzing with newfound resolve, her phone pinged with a message. It was a reminder of a networking event scheduled for the following week, an event filled with industry professionals and potential mentors. Her fingers hovered over the screen as she contemplated attending. Could she seize this next opportunity for growth? The decision loomed before her, intertwining with the thrill of her earlier success. Would she be too afraid to put herself out there again, or was she ready to confront this next challenge boldly? The moment had come to face her potential head-on, and for the first time, it felt exhilarating. The choice was hers to make. The week crept by, filled with a whirlwind of tasks and responsibilities that blurred the boundaries of her days. Each morning, Maria woke with a renewed purpose, yet the nagging uncertainty of the upcoming networking event loomed over her like a shadow. The idea of stepping into a room filled with industry titans both excited and terrified her. In those moments alone, she would rehearse her introduction, practicing the right balance of confidence and humility. Remember, it's an opportunity to learn as much as to be seen, she reminded herself, even as the voice of doubt whispered, "What if they don't care? What if you embarrass yourself?" As the day of the event arrived, she found herself staring into the mirror, adjusting her blouse for the umpteenth time. The room was clouded with an exhilarating mix of hope and dread. How would she approach strangers with their polished resumes and eloquent articulations? Maria inhaled deeply, forcing herself to focus on the task ahead. When she arrived at the venue, the atmosphere buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. She spotted a few familiar faces, yet the sheer scale of the crowd felt daunting. Just as she contemplated retreating to the safety of her car, a realization struck her: it wasn't just about forging connections. It was about discovering her abilities. With that thought in mind, she straightened her shoulders and stepped forward into the thrumming crowd. She struck up conversations with people who seemed approachable. First was Julia, a seasoned event coordinator whose interest in Maria's ideas sparked an engaging discussion about innovative practices. Listening to Julia share her experiences, Maria felt a twinkling inspiration. What did she have to lose? As the evening progressed, she connected with several more individuals. She shared stories of her recent project, reveling in their interest. "It sounds like you really value collaboration," one attendee remarked, and Maria nodded, a smile breaking her initial anxiety. "I've learned that no project can thrive in isolation." The comment prompted deeper conversations about teamwork and leadership styles, reinforcing her newfound belief in her approach. That night, Maria stepped away with a pocket full of business cards and a heart that raced not from fear, but from excitement. She even discussed her concerns about the project with a mentor she met, who encouraged her to view challenges as learning opportunities rather than burdens. "Success is built on the ruins of our mistakes," the mentor said, a phrase that took root in her mind as she drove home. The thrill of the evening surged through her veins. Each moment of the networking event had been a revelation, affirming her instincts and knowledge. She was not merely a participant. She was a player on the field, equipped to make her mark. But as she neared her neighborhood, the initial euphoria gave way to introspection. What other fears lay dormant within her? What barriers had she built over the years that she had yet to break down? The thought nagged at her. It felt unfinished. There were layers to her journey she hadn't yet peeled back. And then, her phone buzzed again, a new message from Roberto, asking for a follow-up on the project. It sent her thoughts spiraling. Beyond the logistics, this was her chance to shine. But the nagging fear of failure remained, surging forward, urging her to take bold steps that might lead to her true potential. The question lingered as she parked her car and took a breath, facing the front door of her house. Was she truly ready to embrace this next stage of her life? Would she push the boundaries further, or retreat comfortably into her old ways? As she contemplated her next steps, one sure thing ignited within her: She was beginning to shape her path, but the real work was just beginning. A challenge awaited her, a pivotal meeting that could redefine her career was on the horizon, and this time she felt not just ready, but determined to seize it. The moment of truth had arrived, leaving her to wonder, would she rise to the occasion, or would the shadows of doubt sneak back, threatening to undo her progress? Maria stood at the threshold of her home, the inviting warmth within contrasting sharply with the swirling thoughts in her mind. The pivotal meeting with Roberto loomed large, each tick of the clock amplifying the urgency of her preparations. Her fingers unconsciously drummed against the car's steering wheel as she replayed their last conversation, dissecting each word, each pause. Follow-up, she muttered, the syllables remaining heavy in the air. It wasn't just a follow-up, it was a test, a measure of her growth, her commitment to the project, and ultimately, a reflection of her capabilities. The stakes felt unusually high, and she couldn't afford to slip. This wasn't merely about the work. The potential implications of this meeting could lead to significant advancements in her career. Once inside, she sat at her kitchen table, the scent of brewed coffee wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. Maria poured herself a cup, attempting to siphon courage from the steam curling towards the ceiling. With a notebook poised in front of her, she began drafting a strategic outline of goals she wanted to communicate. First on the list, present innovative ideas clearly. She found herself struggling with how to frame them without sounding presumptuous. What if they don't resonate? What if they think I'm just trying to overreach? The internal conflict nagged, but she decided to flip the narrative. She had spent countless hours refining her insights, and if the responses in the past week were any indication, she had earned the right to be heard. Next on the agenda was demonstrating collaborative spirit, something she had grown increasingly passionate about. The conversations at the networking event had crystallized her understanding of leadership. Teamwork wasn't merely a buzzword. It was an essential practice she believed in deeply. Lean towards the value you bring, she chanted quietly, as if the repetition could strengthen her resolve. But the final item on her list brought a wave of anxiety crashing down. Empowering Roberto with her bold ideas required confidence, yet she felt a familiar chill trickle down her spine at the thought of his possible critique. What if he sees my ambition as arrogance? She whispered to herself, tasting the bitterness of doubt. This visceral reaction forced her to confront another layer of her struggle. Were these fears rooted in reality, or were they remnants of past experiences that no longer should define her? She decided to journey deeper, confronting the fear of judgment. What if I don't push myself? She challenged, tapping the pen against her notebook. What will I lose if I hold back? That realization ignited a flicker of determination. She stared out the window, watching leaves flutter in the evening breeze like her aspirations unbound, yet tentative. The decision to fully embrace who she was becoming settled into her being. Maria understood that if she continued to let fear dictate her actions, she would remain stagnant, bound to her comfort zone. With newfound clarity, she began drafting her presentation. Each word felt lighter, more authentic, as if a true reflection of her capabilities was finally emerging from the ghost of her self-doubt. She mapped out the main points, her vision for the team, how innovative collaboration could transform their efforts, and how her proactive approach had already begun to shift dynamics positively. As her excitement surged, she paused to let the adrenaline rush settle. There would still be hurdles to cross. She would need to anticipate objections and prepare responses, bolstering her case with data and real-world applications. Challenges awaited, but so did opportunities. Just then, her phone buzzed with another message from Roberto. Looking forward to our meeting tomorrow. Let us discuss how we can drive this project to success. The eagerness in his words reignited the anticipation within her, but on the same note, a flicker of anxiety reappeared. Was she ready to step into this role fully? Would she advocate fiercely enough for her ideas, or would the familiar grip of apprehension strangle her voice at the critical moment? Uncertainty lingered, but it was accompanied by a dawning sense of empowerment. As she finished the final touches on her notes, a steady resolution settled deep within her. She was ready to step into the reality of her potential. The moment of truth beckoned, and with it, a chance for revelation not just for her career, but for who she was and who she could become. With each tick of the clock, the hours slipped away, and she mentally rehearsed her points, waiting with bated breath for the chance to embrace this electric opportunity. Tomorrow would unveil not only whether she could rise to the occasion, but reveal the compass that guided her beyond the shadows of doubt. Would she break free from the shackles of fear, or would the weight of expectation pull her under? As dawn broke, the soft light filtered through the kitchen curtains, casting a warm glow on Maria's sporadic notes. The hours of restless anticipation had faded into a restless sleep, but her mind remained alert, vibrant with possibility. Today was not merely about presenting her ideas to Roberto. It was about redefining her narrative. Each phrase took shape in her thoughts, dancing around the edges of her consciousness like the light playing off the walls. She stood before the mirror, straightening her blouse, her reflection revealing a woman who was coming to terms with her potential. Slipping on her shoes, she silently willed herself to adopt a posture of assurance. "I'm capable," she declared softly, trying to breathe more life into the phrase than it had ever carried before. The drive to the office was a blur of cityscapes, but each signal change triggered a surge of adrenaline. With each green light, she felt the momentum of the day propelling her forward. But alongside the excitement danced whispers of anxiety. What if her ideas didn't land as she hoped? The fear loomed like the shadows in the corners of her mind, threatening to flood her freshly crafted confidence. Upon reaching the office, Maria was greeted by the familiar buzz of productivity. Colleagues rushed by, immersed in their day, yet she felt momentarily suspended in time, her heartbeat syncing with the ticking clock above. In the meeting room, the air churned with expectation as she awaited Roberto's arrival. She arranged her materials meticulously, aligning them not just for her benefit, but to quell the growing tumult inside her. She needed this to be flawless, an opportunity to galvanize both her career and her identity as a capable leader. Finally, he entered, exuding his signature charismatic energy. "Maria, ready to rock?" he asked, flashing a reassuring smile that instantly melted some of her tension. As they sat down, Maria felt the weight of the moment crashing down. The stage was set, and she the performer. With a deep breath, she launched into her presentation, her carefully curated points tumbling forth with unaccustomed eloquence. Each argument flowed with a cadence she didn't fully recognize, but the more she spoke, the clearer her message became. She was not just sharing ideas. She was making a case for a collaborative revolution within their team. Roberto listened intently, his expression flickering between intrigue and contemplation. Yet, as she approached the end, a challenge arose when he posed a critical question. "How do you plan to overcome resistance from other departments?" Time froze momentarily, an inner whirlwind brewing as she fought to summon an intelligent response. She had not anticipated this specific inquiry, and her instinctive reaction was to falter, but the realization hit her. This was her moment to demonstrate leadership. "Resistance means opportunity for dialogue," she responded, confidence creeping back. "I propose regular interdepartmental meetings to foster a culture where opinion sharing is the norm, not the exception. Resistance can be transformed into understanding through consistent collaboration." Silence enveloped the room, and Maria braced for a potential rebuttal. Instead, she was met with a nod of approval, Roberto leaning slightly back, his hands folded in consideration. Was she piercing through the haze of doubt that hovered over her aspirations? In that moment, an emboldening clarity washed over her. She was not simply advocating for ideas, but advocating for herself as a leader. The ensuing conversation unfolded, alive with dialogue and possibilities that as they moved into the closing remarks, anticipation filled the air again. For the first time, Maria articulated not just what needed to be done, but what she believed the value of collective effort could unleash. The meeting concluded, but the weight of Roberto's next words lingered in the air. "I believe you just opened some doors we didn't even know existed. Let's meet again next week." Her heart raced as the implications settled in. Not only had she succeeded in communicating her vision, but she had also transformed a moment of doubt into a definitive step forward. This was her evolution. Yet, as she stepped out of the meeting room, a sense of trepidation replaced her earlier triumph. Momentum had shifted, but what lay ahead? Was this the start of something transformative, or was the shadow of her self-doubt merely regrouping for another assault? With uncertainty looming, Maria felt a familiar thrill tinged with urgency. Pushing into her confidence would require more than just one meeting. She would need to confront every lingering fear, every whisper of inadequacy in the days ahead. The true test of her growth was just beginning, and the stakes had never felt higher. What awaited in this new chapter of her professional journey? She pressed her lips together, steeling herself. The time had come to face the echoes of her past, and she knew deep down, the real battle had only just begun. Maria stood at the edge of a new dawn, a crisp autumn breeze brushing her cheeks as she stepped out of her car. The massive doors of the Langston mansion loomed before her, no longer a source of anxiety, but a stage for demonstration. The previous weeks had transformed her confidence pulsed through her veins while shadows of doubt faded into distant whispers. Today marked the culmination of her recent journey, the charity gala, a monumental opportunity for both her and Robert's foundation. Maria surveyed the bustling preparations, once overshadowing her aspirations. Now, they framed her ambition. In calling the shots, she was set to prove not just her skills, but her newfound identity, a leader with vision. She approached the staff gathered for the final briefing, her pulse steady. Lasagna and garden-fresh salads were being arranged, but it was the creative elements, the art pieces, and colorful centerpieces that captured her attention. How far she'd come. This gala wasn't just an event, but a narrative crafted from resilience, unity, and community spirit, elements vital to Robert's mission. "Let us gather everyone," she announced, her voice firm and resonant. Eyes turned to her, some familiar, others new, yet all reflecting a renewed respect. It was her moment to shine, to leverage the goodwill generated by weeks of diligent collaboration and strategic rapport with her team. Tonight is a celebration of everything we've planned together. Let us embody the spirit of empowerment that this gala represents. As she stood before them, Maria felt her past insecurities transform into powerful resolve. This was her moment. With a wave of her hand, she indicated the artistry surrounding them. The centerpiece will invite reflection. These pieces from local artists tell stories of struggle and perseverance, mirroring the very essence of our mission. Let it resonate with our guests, she emphasized, the energy in the room shifting. The closing hours before the event raced by like the flicker of candle flames she had arranged to illuminate the room. Each detail whispered approval. Maria felt the tight bonds of her collaboration with Christina and others thrive, urging her to lead. Every colleague engaged passionately, validation around their shared purpose. But as she stepped away to the quieter wings of the mansion, her heart jolted. Tonight was also an opportunity exposed to scrutiny. Faces of industry professionals would soon fill the room, judging her not just by the gala's success, but by her growth. It collided with her earlier fear, yet she knew this was necessary. Every challenge would consolidate her resolve. The gala unfolded within a symphony of laughter, conversation, and admiration. Guests admired the art that adorned the walls, engaging with the stories behind each piece. Maria mingled, her confidence impressive, her voice commanding attention as she shared the night's relevance to the mission. Each of you brings light to a path less traveled. Your support nurtures that flame, she articulated, culminating in an applause that affirmed her success. But the ultimate test arrived amid the clinking of glasses. Robert approached, his expression reflecting intrigue. "You've brought this gala to life, Maria," he declared, cutting through the crowd. His acknowledgement ignited even more applause, and a swell of pride surged within her. She'd not just been another name among staff. She had become an indispensable force. As the night reached its climax, Maria stood before the audience, ready to share her reflections and unveil the estimated funds raised. But she wasn't merely reciting figures. She was championing a movement the foundation's purpose now pulsed through her. "This journey is ours, built on collaboration and courage," she declared, her voice ringing clear. Finally, the gala concluded, leaving echoes of accomplishment filling the air. Maria felt liberated, a solid confidence establishing her as a professional. The walls no longer confined her. They showcased her achievements. Robert joined her center stage amidst the lingering applause, his hands clasped together. "Maria, I see great potential in you," he voiced, cementing her newfound identity. The transformative experiences had woven a vibrant tapestry, each thread failure, doubt, success intertwined to reveal a resilient self. She had conquered insecurities, and recognition followed. This night marked no end but a pivotal moment in her career, as she entered a realm where ambition thrived. What awaited her now was brimming with possibility. The networking event, previously daunting, felt more like an exhilarating promise. She would seize every opportunity, having grasped her own potential. No longer a mere participant, Maria was now crafting her narrative, a narrative she had fought valiantly to define. Success had been achieved, yet new heights beckoned. In this role as architect of her destiny, true personal growth remained the ultimate goal. As she surveyed the remnants of celebration, Maria felt grateful. She had not just emerged, she had ascended, ready to face whatever challenges lay at the threshold of her future. Now, dear viewers, this is the time to solidify your connection. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about Maria's incredible journey in the comments below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.